All right. Hello, everyone. I hope you were doing well. Happy Friday. I'm adding to the stage tonight our panel of guests, and many of you probably already know them. We've got Amber with Into the Weeds podcast here on YouTube, and Cuff You, who is always here, and Indigo. She's in the chat. Let me know if you want to join up on panel. I actually just dropped StreamYard in there and I'll pull you up. You guys, tonight we are talking about the manhunt that continues for Travis Decker. How are you guys feeling about this?
I just can't believe it. Honestly, I'm like, he's 2 weeks out. I mean, I don't one of the things I first heard when we first started following this was that he had possibly gone out there a couple of days before and set up a campsite. Did y'all hear that too?
Yes.
Okay.
Like all of this was totally premeditated,
That's
right?
what that's the only way, but even you guys, if he had a good supply of things to take with him, 2 weeks into it, in that environment, I don't know, that's just my opinion. I don't know, I'm just like, I'm having a hard time believing he's still out there alive somewhere. I really am.
So I believe it's
that he's
totally
alive.
I believe it's totally possible that he's alive.
Okay,
I
cool.
haven't actually paid attention to this story because I found out that he was a veteran and I got really upset about it.
Yeah.
And then also it involves kids. So sometimes cases involving kids are hard for me to pay attention to sometimes. And so I just started looking at his military experience
Mhm.
and what the jobs he did, what they consisted of, and I feel strongly that he is capable of sustaining a life out in the wilderness for at least a few months, if not longer.
Yeah,
Let
I
me
know he
ask
was
you.
out there I'm sorry, exactly what you said was gonna happen.
Yeah, and
Go ahead.
be patient with us. This is kind of a new thing for all of us, is doing like group chat.
Mhm. Mhm.
Amber, one thing I'm noticing the sheriff is doing a lot in the press conference is downplaying his military experience.
Uh-huh.
And for someone who has served overseas, I do feel like he has the proper training where hiding out in the wilderness is not that hard. How do you
Yeah.
feel about that?
So, when I was going over all of his jobs in the military and I was going over the training that he had, where he was stationed and everything, to me, it looks like he is amply prepared for that type of mission, honestly. Uh,
I'm sorry.
and the fact that he has had a mental break of some sort,
Mhm.
that can also propel people to much greater lengths than they would normally be capable of. Now, sometimes it can hinder somebody, but in his case, it might just actually help him.
Mhm.
So that's my opinion.
Do you think you can find enough to eat? I mean, I know you can live off the land, I know, but I'm just saying.
Yeah, I've been thinking about that today myself.
Yeah.
Sure, he's probably gone a couple days without eating, but I mean, at some point you got to eat, right? So,
Right.
Amber, like when he's out there, I know you've probably gone through these courses and
Mhm.
have read about this in your history and your background. Um, what do you think he can survive on out there?
Yeah.
So it is the summer and new growth. There's a lot of plants that are edible
Mhm.
that you can live off of. And if he prepared, he could have taken a lot of MREs with him. He
Mhm.
actually, so let me look at some of the things that I found out about.
And
Yeah,
probably traps too, you think, Amber? Like, he knows
Oh,
how to
yeah.
set traps? Okay.
Yeah, most definitely.
yeah, and I'm thinking everything they're showing us makes it sound premeditated. So I have to think
I
he
know.
packed hiking type food. They have it like squashed down where,
Mhm.
you can put it in a backpack, and maybe he just had that in the car. I'm going to pull up a map just so we can get a glance. But yeah, feel free to, jump in with what you were about to say.
Yeah, I'm so glad those MREs. I don't know where you are from, Amber, but I live in Florida, so we get those hurricanes. We're
Yes.
very familiar with those MREs,
Uh,
and they are heavy. That's the only thing I would say is you couldn't take a
yeah.
bunch of those. So you're better. I'm interested to hear what you're going to say about what else he could be. I mean, the only thing I can think of is traps. I mean, he's got to be careful with bears out there. There's wildlife out there. I mean, I don't know. You know way more than me. So
Yeah, so I was just looking, I put in all of his qualifications and everything into
oh,
Google, and
uh-huh.
I was trying to look at different videos of situations in Afghanistan at the time he was stationed there.
Mhm.
And I also looked at some training videos of different jobs that he had. And so let's see. He enlisted in the U.S. Army in March of 2013 as an 11 Bravo infantryman, a combat role trained for frontline ground operations, small unit tactics, and high risk missions. He was deployed to Afghanistan for 4 months in 2014, where U.S. forces were transitioning from direct combat to training and advising Afghan forces. Um, let's see. And then he was also stationed with the 503rd Infantry Regiment, the 173rd Airborne Brigade combat team, and that was out of Vicenza, Italy. And I actually got a job there on that base as a youth minister.
Wow.
And I ended up turning it down because the qualifications were different than what I wanted to put myself into. But yeah, so also they are rapid deployment airborne infantry. They are the Army's or the U.S. Army's forward presence in Europe and respond within hours to crises in Europe
Right.
and in the Middle East and Africa. They're trained in parachute insertion into enemy or remote terrain. He would be used to operating cut off from traditional supply lines, trained to carry only what he needs to survive. That means move fast, live light, and hide well.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He,
Hide well.
yeah, he is trained in ambushes, break contact maneuvers, camouflaging positions,
Oh,
operating behind enemy lines. He's a field. He's able to do field expedient shelters, food acquisition such as hunting and foraging, and navigating without GPS.
wow.
Um, let's see.
Yeah, like
So
looking up at the stars at night. And
yes,
what I've been thinking about lately when I'm reflecting on this case, I have to think the easiest time to catch him is going to be at night.
yeah,
I did invite the sheriff to join us, and I'm pretty sure he's probably a little busy
yeah.
doing mainstream media interviews, and also he's out in the field. So
Mhm.
I didn't anticipate him joining us. But what I would like to know, do you guys remember when the Boston bombing happened? They
Yeah.
were
Yeah.
using infrared drones and flying over that person's backyard and could see that heat. You
Yeah.
could see the guy in the boat.
Mhm.
And I'm thinking, are you utilizing those tools?
I'm
And
sure they
if
are.
not, how do we get them to you?
Well,
Because
and go ahead.
no, go ahead.
And if we are using them, Amber, how is he hiding from them?
So
That was my question. And you saying that, Jen, I'm like, okay, I agree with you 100%. But if that's the case, can
Well,
can you
I'm
hide?
wondering.
Yeah.
Are they using them? And I
Surely
think
they
a lot of
are.
people assume that agencies have all of this equipment when really sometimes they don't because of a budget. I'm
Yeah.
hoping to God the FBI has stepped in and
Yeah.
is offering them the tools they need.
Mhm.
Sometimes an agency can also be stubborn and they don't want anyone else involved. But I do know that the National Guard was deployed to start helping with the search. And Amber, do you believe that they have those type of tools to help?
So the National Guard, maybe, but I definitely believe that they're using drones.
Okay.
So the National Guard, they're usually the first to be deployed anywhere because they're the ones setting everything up. But they're usually the least trained. But he was only in the National Guard for a little while. So
Right.
it's not like that was his whole career. He,
Right.
one of the things that I
Well, he
found
knows
is
their tactics then too, so he knows how to work around
correct.
those tactics.
Correct. And his units, the units that he was in, they often gather terrain intel,
Mhm.
observe enemy movement, and transmit without revealing their position, observing search parties without being seen.
Wow.
Hmm.
So,
So
uh,
there's a way at night, and I'm sure there is. I know this, my son was in the Marine Corps, so I know that he knows all this stuff too. But I never asked him that question before. It's like if somebody, because he used infrared, but he never really mentioned hiding from it. Is there a
mhm.
real way to hide from it in the forest?
Well, I would say that with his training, I'm sure there is a possibility. I don't know the logistics out in combat as
Yeah,
far as how they are able to hide from enemy drones and things like that, but they do it and they do it
crazy.
successfully.
Yeah, I know.
So if he's been taught to do that successfully, then we're dealing with somebody who really does have the knowledge to do this. And the Atlanta bomber, he was out there for 5 years in the wilderness.
Are we talking about the Atlanta one or the Boston?
Wow.
The Atlanta bomber,
Oh,
he was
okay,
out
the
there
one
for
here.
5
Okay,
years.
Okay, 'cause I
okay.
was like, "Huh?" When you said that,
Wow,
I was
wow,
like, yeah, that's 5 years. I mean, wow, I don't know. I
Yeah,
mean,
and he was in the Appalachians. So,
wow.
the Appalachians are just as,
oh, yeah.
winding and thick
Mhm.
as the forests in Washington. So, you
Definitely.
know
Probably a little easier in Washington, actually.
correct, yeah, I would say so.
So let
There's
me ask y'all both this.
mhm.
Do you think he's made it into Canada yet?
I wouldn't doubt it.
I wouldn't either.
I don't think so. I
Really?
think, yeah, I guess my hunch is he's kind of probably using tactics where he isn't going straight up. Maybe he's actually going east or south because you'd never think he would do that.
Oh, you're right. If he
But see,
Um,
back, yeah.
if he planned it in advance, how far what did he plan?
Yeah.
And,
right.
what did he store?
I will throw
Uh,
this up here too while we're talking girls. He was looking at how do I get a job in Canada?
I know.
I
I did
mhm,
mean,
see that. Yeah.
and that could just be a red herring, honestly.
God, I don't
sure.
think. See, I like you're on here, Amber, because I don't even think that way. I don't even
Well,
think that
guys,
way.
yeah, I mean, for all we know, he's heading south. I
Yeah,
mean, to Mexico or something,
I
you
know,
know?
like,
I
yeah,
mean,
he could be in Pensacola where all the serial
yeah.
killers get caught. I mean, so,
right?
Um, there was a spotting of him. And here's something I want to throw out there before I forget to mention it. We go back to the Brian Laundrie search, right?
well,
Yes.
They closed that national park off
Mhm.
to people hiking for, I believe, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Why are they not closing it off now? This
I,
man has
yeah,
murdered someone.
yeah,
Not someone. His 3 daughters. He
yeah.
has
Mhm.
nothing to lose. That's one of the questions I wanted to ask the sheriff this evening if he joined us is why are we not um and I get he keeps saying this is a team effort. You're going to help crack this case. To me, that's dangerous. to be getting the public involved that is not properly trained. Do not approach him, but yet we want your tips.
Yeah, I agree. And even if somebody just stumbled upon him by accident, how is he going to react to that? Is he going to take that person out so that they can't tell? Or is he going
He's
to tie
not in
him
the
up?
right mental state right now. I mean,
Yeah,
we know here's kind of a map that we can look
Yeah.
at.
So
of
the
his
way
plan.
so I've been looking at this too, Jennifer, and I don't know, I found it on some other creator site. But so if you look at that, it would make sense if you turned around and went south, east, and then went back up. Because if you look at west, there's all that water there.
Yes.
You know, so I'm like, that would see, I didn't even think of that. That didn't even cross my
See,
mind.
I've just watched too much true crime, you know, so I'm thinking you don't like, yeah, you totally set this up to make it look like you're going to Canada, but you're not going to Canada at all.
Right.
I could totally see that too. I mean, depending on what his state of mind was and is, depends on what he's going to do. But I think if he's thinking logically and logistically, he's going to create a red herring and make them believe that he's going somewhere else.
That is
Yeah.
like all those searches could have been complete BS.
Yeah, totally.
See,
I want to show the picture of the girls again, you guys, and mention that a GoFundMe has been started for Whitney Decker, the mother. I know they've reached their goal, but Whitney wants to make change. There was already a little gathering today where they were talking about how if the Amber Alerts were changed, it is possible that they could have got out there sooner, but they downplayed the situation. And even if it was too late, I do feel Whitney has a point. We need to modernize the Amber Alert system and make changes. Maybe it just be if someone has mental health issues, you bump it up a little bit. You act a little faster. Maybe instead of 24 hours, it's 15 hours. You know, if that person being reported in the family, within the family, has mental health issues.
I would agree with that.
And there's a lot of creators talking about that. In fact, one of the other channels that I watch, he actually was a detective. Well, first he was a street cop, then he's a detective, then he's been on Big Brother, and then he's been on
Derek Levasseur.
Yeah, I love me some Derek, girl.
Yeah.
And he's talking about the Amber Alert and like the change. Did you see that, Amber? Like,
yeah, I did.
Yeah, that need to be made to it and stuff like that. And he's on board. There's one thing that he disagrees with, and I can't remember exactly what it was. Maybe you can, Amber. That it would make it, like you said, Jen, just become something that we see so commonly that you're like, you know, just turn off the alert and keep going. We don't want to do that either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He mentioned in that video, because there's a lot of custodial disputes, and he even said that when he was a police officer and a detective, they would do custodial exchanges, you know, at the offices and things like that. So if you're bogging down the system, this was what he was saying, if you're bogging down the system with alerts that may not really be alerts, then people aren't going to pay attention to the real ones.
Right.
And I hate this from a news perspective. In my background in journalism, this is something I said to Amy today, is I am Amy and I do a lot of hosting together. She's in our chat tonight. So if you don't, go follow Para Women Radio. I said to Amy, I am just so angry we're not seeing this all over the place. I said, I'm disappointed 2020 isn't doing a special tonight.
Yes.
Dateline isn't doing a special. Why? Is it because he's not as attractive as, you know, maybe people think Chris Watts is? I'm frustrated that some cases, and this is something the Petito family talks about all the time. Yes, we know the girls have passed away, but if 2020 would have done a special tonight, it's more more of his face out
Mhm.
there. It's more awareness. Let's say he does go south, guys, or goes east, and
Mhm.
someone bumps into him at a gas station.
Uh-huh.
It
Yeah.
helps. Anything helps. So I am frustrated seeing that mainstream media is not picking this up as much.
I agree. I haven't really seen a whole lot of coverage on it. So I haven't delved into it. One, because I said he's a veteran and it upsets me. And then
Right.
two, because
Right.
there hasn't been a whole lot of coverage on it.
Right. I'm just
And it
surprised.
always,
Go ahead.
yeah, it always seems to be like it's honestly, it's about looks sometimes.
Right. You're right.
Here in Atlanta, we've had stories like this, where it may not be 3 kids, but it might be 1 or 2, and dad is on the run, and it doesn't get blasted off. And it's because they're in a low income family. And
Mhm.
I hate that
Me too.
for people. It is not fair
Yeah.
to your story to be judged on the way you look, your race,
Yeah.
maybe even your religion,
Oh yeah.
and your income status. I
Yeah.
hate that.
Mhm.
So I'm glad we're able to talk about this on our
Yeah.
channels, you guys, and try to get it out there.
The one thing that still got me baffled, I know I keep bringing it up, but it's the bloody palm prints on the truck. What is that from? What?
Um,
How much was
I
there? What is it? And what's it from? Is it his DNA? Somebody else's?
Yes.
Dying
Oh,
to know
actually,
that.
Amber, yeah. We were talking the other day. What if, and it is possible, what if Travis didn't do this
Mhm.
and it was something that went wrong, where there was like maybe a drug deal that went wrong and someone else did what they did to the kids
Mhm.
and he's actually in danger? The police are not being very forthcoming with
Mhm.
the evidence they have. If they told us
Hmm.
he sent Whitney a text that said, "You're never going to see the girls again. This is why, da 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 da," that would make more sense to us, that we know, okay, this is why he is being charged. This is why you're searching for him.
Mhm.
And
And
why would he leave his dogs and his truck?
He left his dogs.
Yeah, 2
yeah, his
dogs.
dog, I will play that for you guys. There's a couple things I want to play. I want to play him in the courtroom, and
Yeah.
then I want to play this little clip. You guys talk while I search for this clip, but when
Yeah,
they
he had
found the
2 dogs.
dog,
Yeah, I'm sorry, Jen.
no, you're fine. When they found the dog, they do have it in the Humane Society, but from what I know from my background, that dog's not getting adopted
Oh, no.
until this goes to trial. That dog
Um,
is a piece of
of
evidence.
evidence, yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, see, I saw something that there were 2 dogs. He left 2 dogs.
Yes, but I
Okay.
guess the second dog has not been recovered, so
Okay.
maybe that one stuck with him, and the other one,
That's interesting.
remember we saw one was a husky.
Yeah.
Maybe it ran off, and huskies are known to do that.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's
It's
the
just
Um,
other one?
it's just so crazy that those 2 things have not been answered. I mean, I'm glad they found the dog, you
right.
know, but I'm just like, if I don't know, and you Amber again, if I'm going on the road, am I going to want this dog to follow me? And if I don't want him to follow me, am I going to leave him? I killed my 3 girls. Why am I not going to kill the dog? You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I don't
You
want him to follow me and give me up. You know what I mean?
So, as veterans, usually we have dogs that are like our service animals, or
Mhm.
we get really attached to them,
Mhm.
and they become more than even your family, almost kind of like your right hand or
Mhm.
your left hand. And I think that
Sorry.
if he was trained with animals,
Mhm.
I believe that he would be more likely to take one of them with him, because it could help in trapping, it could help in creating distractions, all
Right.
kinds of different
Oh
things.
gosh, it could hunt rabbits for all we know, right? And
Yeah,
then he can,
correct.
And squirrel, and let's not like be unrealistic here. He probably is eating stuff like that out in the wilderness, right?
Oh,
Like
yeah.
when you're desperate, you're desperate.
If he's in the wilderness,
Um,
that's what he's doing.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pull this clip up for us to
Okay.
listen to, and
He sounds so
this.
normal in this. I just want to say that.
Oh, this is not the audio clip about
Oh,
the court. We're gonna listen to the one about the dog real
okay.
quick. Just some scanner traffic that happened, and then we
Okay.
will listen to the court one here in a moment.
Okay.
I'm trying to figure. It's a short. Shorts are always hard for me to figure out how to start from scratch. So, okay, here we go.
Where you hand the dog off to humane to get paw prints and measure the dog's paws. Just paw print measurements, was that it? Measurements are 3 inches wide, 3.5 long. Photographs taken. Prints were impossible.
Alrighty. Hey guys, so that is, I mean, not much information, but you can see that they are collecting, and I love this. I love that they're collecting every little detail because
Me too.
it reminds me of John Benet Ramsey case where so much wasn't collected
Oh, I know.
that
Preach,
if
girl.
it were to go to trial, it wouldn't have mattered because you botched everything and you didn't get enough evidence in the first place. So,
Yeah, I agree.
Oh yeah, Indigo saying the dogs, must be grieving too. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It makes me wonder too, would Whitney want to take the dogs in, or is that too hard of a memory for her?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
I can't imagine. I mean, unless she was really attached to the dog.
Right. Like it was his dogs, but did the girls love the dogs?
Oh, I'm sure they did. I feel sure. What do you think, Amber?
I would assume so.
Yeah.
But I think that would be more adding more on to her than she
Pouring
needs.
salt on the wound kind of
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
God.
I'm going to pull up this courtroom audio, you guys. So this is public record. And so that's, why I'm comfortable playing it. I am really bummed out that there is no video of this because I really wanted Indigo to take a look at body language, but maybe she can kind of pick things up based on tone. So Indigo in the chat, if you even just kind of hear some things that pique your interest, or you think, oh, that sounds familiar to this type of behavior, jump in and let us know. Okay, I'm going to pull this up, and as soon as I hit play, it's going to start, just so y'all know. Okay.
My original active duty, I came out into the civilian world and tried to figure out a way that I could live as a civilian. I didn't have family. I didn't have friends. I didn't have any support, especially coming to a state where I didn't have anybody to lean on or a couch to go sleep on. So
I also want to say that typing is a courtroom reporter, not any of us.
when we initially went through our divorce, I went and put the uniform back on full time so I could support myself and support the family through the first big transition of Dad not being at home anymore. Once I fulfilled my year obligation, I talked to my chain of command and stepped down from full active duty and transitioned into, my contract ended in December of 2023. Starting over is hard, and I'm starting at the bottom, and I've got a long way to go, but I don't think that it should restrict the time that I get to be around my daughters.
We're not trying to take these children away from Mr. Decker. We respect and appreciate the fact that he loves his kids. That's obvious by the fact that he's attending their events. It's just important that they have this consistency in their lives.
since I have been gone.
And I will just pause this, as we can chat while we go through it. Amber, I know you may not know this. Carrie and I have been talking about this case for almost a week now. Travis was homeless, and at one point, where was he sleeping again, Carrie? In like a storage unit where they kept weapons or something?
Yeah, it was. Remember, he had an RV and he lost that. And then he was sleeping in a storage unit. Yeah, so he apparently bought an RV somehow, and then it got repossessed. And then he was sleeping in a storage unit. Yes.
But then he was taking the girls out camping with him.
Yes.
Yes.
So
but the scary thing to us, though, is when you are sleeping in that storage unit, there are probably other service people coming in and out of there. And let's be honest, not everyone always has the best intentions.
Oh, you're talking about the armory, Jenny.
Yes.
Yeah, the
Jennifer, I'm
armory.
sorry. You're talking about the armory. That's where he was sleeping. And the girls were staying there with him at the armory. Yeah.
Wasn't it like a storage unit type thing?
Yeah, I
for
think so.
weapons
It was a combine, but there were veterans. That's all there were veterans. And Amber, I know I have a huge military family, and Jen, you may as well, but I know that some of my family have mental issues from it. You know what I'm saying? And these little girls were left there alone, and one of them hurt her hand on a piece of equipment there. They both called their mom crying, and that's how she found out they were there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely be cautious of having children around men, no matter who they are.
Yeah.
Military or not.
Yeah, and then when you add on different traumas and things like that you experience in the military, it can definitely be precarious sometimes. But so the thing with veterans is it's a really hard balance of realizing that most of them are not going to go out there and do something like this, even though they are highly skilled and highly trained.
Right.
But sometimes you also have to look at the fact that we also come back with war wounds mentally, and that can look like that can look so different for everybody. And so I like to talk about veterans issues like that, but I don't like to focus so much on the PTSD and all of that stuff, because sometimes it's hard for veterans to integrate back into society.
Oh, yeah. I can imagine.
Just because they're institutionalized, just like a prisoner is institutionalized. So you become dependent on the government taking care of you, and
medically and financially.
Yes, and your food and everything, so
healthcare, all of it.
Yeah. So, I don't want people to look at veterans and say they're dangerous, because they're not all dangerous. But then you get somebody like him who did not seem dangerous doing something wild like this. And so it's very hard to find a balance as to how to treat people who have mental illness and who have served in a way that we're not looking at them and waiting for them to do something wrong.
Oh, yeah. I get you. Yep.
Yeah, that's
a lot of people have been giving Whitney some heat.
Yep.
It's horrible because she's grieving right now. That she keeps saying he had PTSD and they're using it as an excuse. And I will say sometimes I do feel like the PTSD is overused, similar to I do want to do like a whole episode on this about how like people overuse narcissist and sociopath and those terms that continue to pop into our vocabulary in the past couple years, and PTSD is one of them.
Yeah. People don't take it seriously.
Right. They joke about it. They'll be like, oh, I have PTSD from going to Target because there was a big line. You know, you get what I mean. It's like become a part of people's lingo and vocabulary.
And I get really mad because I actually do have severe PTSD from childhood. And I'm bipolar. I don't mind saying it. I own my mental issues. I mean, you know, I take my medicine every day.
And I love that because you're lifting this stigma.
Oh, yeah.
Amber also suffers from PTSD.
Yeah, I take my meds every day, and I mean, you know, my son has issues, and I think I talked to you, Jen, a little bit about that.
Yeah.
But we're getting him treatment now through a really good program. But anyway, what makes me mad, and it's in the same line that you're saying, is like when you see these people that have done this, or you see people that have done much less crimes, and they're like, oh, I was SA when I was a baby, or my dad left when I was 5, or whatever.
Right.
Actually,
which really maybe
angry.
Those people don't even remember that, and they're just kind of using it for. I think this is what it is, Amber. I feel like people almost use it for sympathy sometimes, and then
the wrong reason. Yeah,
and how do I say, desensitizes us to the severity of what PTSD is.
Because if I go to another doctor and I just say that to another doctor, honestly, they're just like, oh, okay, and just move on.
Right. They see it as like you saying I have depression.
Right.
Because so many people are diagnosed with depression that people don't even blink their eye anymore.
I know.
You know? Someone in our comment section, Hannah, said, is it possible he could have been diagnosed with a mental condition or have a mental condition that's not diagnosed? It's very possible, but we do know he has been diagnosed with, he claims PTSD. And what was the other? Was it?
It was like borderline. It was
borderline
personality
disorder.
Yeah.
So we know he definitely does have some diagnosis going on. To be able to, and if he did hurt, I'm trying to be careful with my words. These children, there's something very serious going on to disassociate. We're going to continue to hear this audio from the courtroom, but when you guys first hear it, doesn't he sound like just a loving?
Yes.
He does.
Oh, God, he has such a nice voice and good language and grammar and talking and that kind of like, wow. I mean, I don't mean that again. That sounds.
No, he sounds like an educated person. He's not. Yeah, he's not. He doesn't sound like he's strung out on something and being like, I want to see my kids.
Right. Do that again, Jen. Do it again. Do it again.
I want to see my kids. But yeah, you know what I mean. He sounds. Let's continue and listen to it, and then I'll pause it again, and we will comment. I kind of like stopping it and going. That way we can not forget about things. So just say pause if there's something that comes to mind you want to say.
Every time I've had the girls, we have been in campsites in national forests and paid campsites that have campers. We've never done anything that was unsafe or anything I wouldn't want to put myself in. I understand that my current position when
I do want to say, Carrie, we found out that mom didn't even know about the girls being on the base until after, right?
Right. Because one of the girls hurt themselves and they knew their mom's number and they called them and they were crying. And he had the other little girl with him. I think she had to go to the doctor or something.
Yeah. So him saying that right there
is a lie.
It may be safe for you, but it is not safe for a young child to be there. We'll continue here.
When I'm by myself isn't ideal, but my daughters aren't a part of that. I only get to see them over the weekends, and camping is something that the 4 of us have done since the 3 of them were in diapers. I've never done anything I feel like that puts them in any sort of a risk that most families in the state of Washington, every campsite we've been to in the last month have been almost completely booked out or sold out because everybody's out this time of year. When I stepped away from the National Guard, I was making $86,000 a year, and now I make, I think it's like $38,000 a year. When you start over from zero and you don't have help in a hand to get you through it, it makes it a little more difficult.
One of the things I need to consider when I look at the best interest of the children is stability, and that's not stable. It's not stable having them in different places every time you have them. That's concerning to the court, regardless of whether it's in an RV, whether it's in a tent, whether it's in Airbnb, whether it's in a hotel, a motel. That's not stable, and that's always a concern for the court.
When I was separated from,
that's the end of the clip. And I do like that the judge there even mentioned whether you're in an Airbnb that costs $500 a night, it doesn't matter. It's not a routine for the girls. It doesn't make them feel at home and safe. And kids thrive off of routine. So,
but then
go ahead.
I was just going to say, but then you've got the fathers who really are well-meaning and who are in hard circumstances. And it's like, I don't know, I came from a divorced family, so my dad would come and pick us up and we would stay in a hotel with him when he would come to town, you know, and come to find out a lot of those hotels were really bad. Yeah, I understand the plight, you know, that he was in, but at the same time, it's dangerous, and he obviously wasn't thinking because he killed them. So,
yeah,
I would love to know what he was thinking.
Yeah, I think Carrie and I are even like magically thinking we hope that it wasn't him, and that I don't know, maybe he was involved with a drug deal gone wrong and he owed money and they
could have been somebody random too, though.
Yeah, it's hard to wrap your head around a parent hurting their child in any way.
And the way he did it, you guys, and we're not going to talk about it, is so brutal. I mean,
you had to do it one at a time, and that's the disturbing part to me.
Oh God, yes.
Yes, it is very disturbing, and I think I don't know.
I want to show some more pictures of him. We've been talking about this for the past week. Amber, do you feel like this guy is almost a chameleon where, like, look at how he is able to change his looks?
Yeah,
so
when I saw that first picture, he looks Asian.
Oh, he does.
He actually,
yes, he doesn't even look like the same guy.
Yeah, he could be Native American.
Absolutely,
or,
yes, that's what I thought too.
But if you guys look at that picture right there, and this is one thing I know from, the one that's up, from mental health issues. If you look at not only his hair, his beard's uncut, look at his teeth.
Yeah, I was looking at that.
Yeah. Well, and then look at this. Let me see this other one. Okay, look at this where he's all fit. It looks like he's at the beach. It's like you wouldn't look at that guy and be like, oh, he could hurt someone. And when you look at the other picture we just had up, you would probably cross the street and be like, he looks a little sketchy.
That is a person I feel 100% sure, 99.99, a person with a mental issue going on, because hygiene and the way you take care of yourself is one of the. My son will not cut his toenails, and it makes me absolutely crazy. So it's like just little things like that. But when he comes to his therapist notices it. So this is obvious a decline. It's very and it's seen so clearly in the pictures you have up here. It's just,
and I feel like he's using this to his advantage. And I know he's not a serial killer, but I keep comparing him to Ted Bundy in the sense of Ted could change the way he looked by, you know, having a goatee, a beard, a mustache, shave his head, dye it blonde, and he blended in with the rest of society and got, I mean, what, he broke out 2 times or
Yep.
was it just 1 time?
No, it's 2.
Gee, how do you do that? How do you do that?
Jumped out a library window. I'm like,
Yeah.
who the hell? I mean, I'm like,
Yeah.
here's the
And-
phone, Mr. Bundy. See you later.
Yeah. I mean,
I will say, don't ever underestimate somebody.
Mm-mm.
yeah.
And I don't know. I just,
This is the last area, you guys. He was not on the highway or anything like that, but this was like if you had. I have been trying to look for trail cameras, you guys, in this
Oh,
area,
yeah.
but I'm pretty sure he's smart enough not to.
oh yeah.
You know, he can probably Google just like we are. I mean, shit, for all I know, he's listening to us right now on his
You're
phone.
absolutely right. That is not unrealistic. Yeah.
And no doubt in my mind, he's listening to scanner traffic, which
Oh,
I was
yeah.
playing throughout the week just so we could kind of listen. That's something we used to do in the newsroom a lot, so that we knew what was going on. Then we would send a photographer or a reporter out. Then we would call like the PIO or the public information officer and be like, okay, we're out at the scene. Tell us what's going on because we're here and we know something's going on.
Right.
So Travis is probably listening to the scanner traffic. So I don't think we're going to get any like hot details on there because they know he's probably listening too.
Yeah.
He probably has something, some kind of device or something with him to listen.
Yeah, I mean, any of us right now can put Broadcastify on our phones. And it's I remember when Boston bombing happened, literally listened to it minute by minute while they were going in on the guy, and it was crazy. How I do think we will hear some action when they are zoning in on him, but they're also not going to say too much. They're probably going to switch channels and things like that.
I agree.
But
Jen, I'm going to be honest, Jen, you've really got me thinking this, or Amber, you too, the red herring thing, because what if remember I told you my gut told me there's a lot we don't know. There's something we don't know that's very, very important. And that may be it. They're keeping us in the Northeast when they know he's headed to Mexico. You know what I'm saying?
Right, to put that out into the media so that Travis thinks, oh, they're not on to me. When really
it keeps people safe. Yeah.
But he's too smart for that. He's too smart for that. Yeah, he is. He's too smart for that. He knows what's up, and he's going to know all of their tactics. You know, some of the things that I was seeing that he is supposed to be proficient in is so like there's
rivers and things like that around there too, right?
Yeah.
So he could actually be having fish dinner, trout, and stuff, which is not bad.
Yeah,
you know,
so
like
he was.
I grew up on a lake. We used to eat trout and
sushi.
salmon. And I mean, he's probably making some sushi, not just squirrel and rabbit.
Yeah, no, and then all the plants and vegetables and stuff like that. I mean, we were out looking for our dog yesterday out in the middle of the country in Missouri, and we could smell all of the onions and the garlic.
Oh,
and stuff
yeah,
like
love that
Just,
smell.
yeah, it was just growing out there, and all the berries and everything. And so if you know what you can eat, it's very possible to sustain your life for a long time.
Can I tell y'all that I would die like within the first 12 hours? I would just immediately drop dead. I would. I would never make it.
I have to think he has a level of adrenaline too, right? And the sheriff keeps saying this in the press release, you know, and I was going to play one tonight, but they all sound the same. I mean, Sheriff, good looking guy. We keep joking about that, Amber. We call him Sheriff McCotty.
Yeah.
And they're all, it just all sounds the same. But the one thing he keeps saying is, Travis, we're waiting for one mistake. You make one move and you're done.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm starting to think he's moving during the day and
Yeah.
sleeping at night when people usually move at night and sleep during the day. And
I would
why
agree
is
with
because
that.
I think the infrared,
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah. Yeah.
I would agree with that.
that's the reason I think. Hey, Rose. That's why I'm thinking he is kind of doing the reverse. And like Indigo said, he's blending into the environment. So
Mhm.
he wants to look like a regular camper.
Yes.
And honestly, the best thing they could probably do is, I know it's not going to be good for the economy, but I think they do need to close the park down.
Absolutely.
They should.
And I don't know why they haven't.
I don't either. That's what I'm saying. I'm telling y'all, there's something weird. I'm just,
Yeah.
because they would have,
So
I mean, down here, I'm sorry, down here for like any kind of a manhunt in just my little city of Pensacola, they shut the whole city down,
yeah.
Yeah.
and it's just
But like,
like,
remember with laundry, it was like, I mean, they had the ABTs out there. They
yeah,
were, I mean, and the whole time he was dead. They had all that manpower,
right.
and all it took was just the parents to come out there, and they found him.
Yeah.
Um,
Which is kind of odd. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean, we could do a whole nother show on that.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we should.
So I was just looking at some of his other qualifications.
Yeah,
So
let us read it.
he was required to complete a 30 plus infantry task, land navigation, medical triage, and a 12-mile ruck in 3 hours.
Mm.
That's like holding at
Wow.
least 40 pounds on your back, plus
It's like the
your
Crucible. Yeah.
yeah, plus your weapon and everything else. So yeah, that can be really hard. Let's see. He was trained to rig and inspect cargo for helicopter transport. So that means that he is very aware of helicopter movements and things like that.
Yes.
Let's see. And another thing with him having the borderline personality disorder, those are some freaking resourceful people.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
believe
didn't know that.
he's in survival mode, and he's going to do anything he can. And that's why I do think people who are camping out there are in danger.
I do too.
He has nothing to lose.
Mhm.
Amber, why do you say that about BPD? I'm real interested because I don't know a lot about that.
So I know some people who have it, and one person very specifically that I'm thinking of can rule the world if they wanted to, honestly.
Oh, wow.
And it's just a matter of being able to implement it, because that person also has severe depression and some other things that lend them to and bipolar. So then you get the crash outs of not wanting to do anything for a long time. But if they actually wanted to rule the world, they really could, honestly.
So they're manipulative then.
Not necessarily manipulative, more that they will go above and beyond anybody's imaginations.
Wow.
That's
what this is, yeah.
I'm talking about, so for instance, one of the things that I'm thinking about is like studying the laws, even though you're not a lawyer, but studying them so proficiently that you could go in there and represent yourself.
Yeah. It reminds me of that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio. Remember where what is that? Catch Me If You Can.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You are smart enough to study to make people believe.
Yes.
Whatever
That's
you
actually
want
the perfect example, Jen. That's
Yeah.
perfect. You nailed it.
Guys, I want to make a comment on this, and I know this is silly, but I'm gonna say, "Yo, mama," commented. My son had a high school friend that got into some trouble. The boy covered himself in black mud, laid still, and got away.
No way.
I keep thinking about this though, and this is silly, but do you remember that movie Predator 2?
Yeah!
Where Arnold Schwarzenegger put mud all over himself and the Predator couldn't see him. So I'm like, could that deter the infrared
That's what I'm thinking.
cameras?
Who knows? I have no idea. I'm not that tactically trained.
I
I was on
love
land
it.
for a
I
right.
love
year.
that that made sense to you guys.
Oh, absolutely, 100%.
Like
But
usually
I'm a Gen
se-
Xer, so I know.
liter-
Yeah.
but literally sequels never do well, but Predator 2 is probably the best one.
Oh yeah, I love them all.
I
Yeah.
actually do too. Which is kind of
That's
weird.
I was thinking that same thing, and I'm so glad you went there because I was like, do I say that or not?
No, you say it because I would love to speak to someone who is qualified, in the infrared type things and
I would
know,
too.
can you deceive it?
I will
Similar to like,
ask.
can you deceive a lie detector test? Like,
So,
are there techniques?
yeah, so I put some information about him into our military broadcast radio forum just to kind of get, their feedback. And some of them thought that he took himself out because,
Yeah.
how could he deal with doing that or whatever? Kind of like the
Mhm.
Brian Laundrie thing is what they said, but I don't know. I think that he really could be alive.
I think he's alive. I think he's a coward, just like Brian, except I think he's similar to Chris Watts, where he won't do himself in. He
I don't
probably
know.
mentally thinks he has more of a purpose in life. Like these people who maybe he even goes back and forth on it.
See,
Right?
I don't want him. I don't. I mean, and I think about, like I said, the terrain and the animals, the wildlife, and all that stuff. And I'm a huge grizzly bear fan. I love them. I watch them all the time on different things. But anyway, if something would happen and like an animal would take him out, I'd be mad because I
Yeah.
want him. I want him for once. I want him, somebody that does this kind of crap, set an example for this is what happens to you, dude. You know what I'm saying? And it's way more. Chris Watts did the same similar thing, but I think this is even worse. That's just my opinion. This is even
I
worse
do.
than Chris. Yeah.
I
Mhm.
do feel the act of it is
The way
worse
those babies had
because
to see what was happening to each one of them.
one by one. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I
Mhm.
hate to make comparisons, but I feel
Mhm.
like almost Cece and Bella were so young that
Yeah.
it didn't maybe register in their heads the way it did for these girls.
That
They were
9-year-old.
they were older.
Yeah.
They get it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They saw what they were seeing and they knew what was happening, and that had to be
Horrifying.
terrifying for
Yes.
them. I threw
And for
up
that, he needs to roast.
GoFundMe.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I really I hope he, the sheriff keeps saying we're preparing for court, and I'm like, well, I hope you are. I really hope you
Mhm.
are, and that's why I am I don't know how you guys feel, and if you're comfortable and open with talking about your feelings about the death penalty, I'm interested to hear about them.
Funny you said that.
For me, I don't scientifically know what happens when we die.
Mhm.
And if we go on faith and we say that we go to heaven and we go to paradise,
Mhm.
and then there are some people who believe in hell, but we don't know that for sure. So
No.
that's why I'm not I think I am for like pedophiles.
Mhm.
I don't know, because that just really gets under my skin.
Yeah.
But
Too.
Mhm.
the fact that I don't know what happens when you die, I'm not comfortable sentencing someone to death. I feel like I know it's taxpayers' dollars, but suffering in a cell has to be freaking miserable.
Mhm.
The only thing that I think, and I'm a case by case kind of, honest to God, I mean, if Chris hadn't pled and made a deal, I'm sorry, but in my mind, he's game. You know what I'm saying? For the death penalty.
Mhm.
However, this guy is so disgusting and so beyond terrible that I would love to see one of these guys that's out there in the woods with him just happen to have a plastic bag and some Ziplocs with him. or zip ties. I'm sorry. That's all. That's
Yeah.
the plainest I can make it. I mean, you know what I mean? Here, dude. Here's what you put your daughters through.
Amber, how do you feel? If you're comfortable about it, don't feel pressure to.
Yeah, no. So before my cousin went to prison for 25 years for 5 ounces of methamphetamine,
Wow.
I was pretty staunch as to, you do the crime, you do the time. It doesn't matter what happens to you in there. You know, you deserve it.
Yeah.
However, since she has been in there, my eyes have been open to a lot of things.
Mhm.
And as a person of faith, I was also convicted of the fact that I am told to go and visit the prisoner.
Yeah.
And so I never did that before. And I had other family members incarcerated for long periods of time. So I never went to see them. I never wrote them. I never even interacted with them. So before she was incarcerated, I was pretty much death penalty was cool with me because, if you're going to go out and kill somebody, then you deserve the same punishment or whatever.
Eye for an eye. Yeah.
Yeah, correct. But now that she's been in there and I've looked at a lot of different cases and become more aware of the injustices in the system,
Mhm.
I now am not for the death penalty unless it's child offenders, rapists, things like that, people who commit sexual crimes, because I don't believe that you can be rehabilitated from sexual crimes.
Well, and with
Agreed.
that, today you can be 100% sure because we have DNA. So, you know what I'm saying? As far as that's concerned, I completely 100% agree with you. And the other thing to think about, playing devil's advocate, is, you hear about all these cases where they've already put the person to death and they didn't do it.
Yes.
You know?
That's
So
scary to me too.
it's a hard line to walk,
Yeah.
Jen, like you and I were saying, kind of, what if somebody is involved in this, whatever, we bring this guy in and he gets prosecuted and goes to justice,
And they get the death penalty.
and then
And
we
10
find
years
out.
later,
Mhm,
yeah.
yeah. So
Um,
it's a fine line.
Yeah. But I
it
mean,
is hard. And
mhm,
sometimes I think maybe we should have a law where the victim's family makes the decision. It's similar to Sandy Rusick saying she didn't want Chris to
Yeah,
have the
yeah,
death penalty. Like maybe that decision should be with the family, not the DA's office.
yeah.
I don't
I
know.
think that they should definitely have a voice in the
Yeah.
decision.
Mhm,
I think that they should be able to help come to that conclusion.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, it's the death penalty is scary all around
It is.
because if
Yeah, it's hard, especially but like you said, I don't know why, and I think it's from working in the news industry.
Mhm,
Any of the stories that really disturb me have always been SA
mhm,
cases.
mhm,
mhm,
Reading the reports are just there's something about I feel a little more desensitized to murder cases,
yeah,
and I feel like maybe those are more this is going to sound morbid, but they happen more quickly and it's over and it's done and they cross over. But
and they're
someone who
more
is essayed lives and replays that
right.
mhm.
over and over again. Even when that prisoner is locked up,
Yep.
they're still having nightmares about it.
Every night,
Yeah,
I'm here to tell you.
and sometimes I feel like rape and the like is a worse crime than murder because
Mm,
they're dying every day over and over and over again.
mhm, mhm.
So,
Yes.
And
Yes. That's a
for
good way to
me, I'm
put it.
just gonna say this much about it because that is my issue. And I dream about my granddaughters, things happening to them. I dream about, in fact, I just got put on a new med, hopefully to help me stop having dreams, honestly. I dream about like my sons, something happened to them. And just, I'm going to say this and end it. We can have another whole show about this, Jen. But
Yeah.
brother and I were essayed together at the same time by the same person. So,
mm,
if I want to say anything about it and I'm stopped for a night, is just know that not just girls get SA'd, y'all.
Oh, that's very true.
Please just
Yeah.
know that. I mean,
Mhm.
that's all you hear. Well, my daughter, or it doesn't happen to boys. It does.
Right. And I think that's why the Menendez brothers are having
Yes.
a little hard time too. And that's a whole nother,
It is.
episode.
But I just wanted to say
but
what you were saying, Amber. You do, and Jen, you do relive it every day. Something
Yeah.
every day during my day is going to remind me.
Yeah.
Now I know how to handle it now after years of therapy and all that, but it's like every day, no matter what kind of PTSD, I can imagine that something happens every day.
Mhm.
And I want to thank you guys for being so open about that and being advocates about it.
Absolutely.
I always feel like we go through, I've never gone through something like that traumatic, but there were many days where I'm like, why did I get cancer? Why me? Why
Yeah.
is this happening to me? And I try to remind myself, whether you're religious or not, I feel there's a higher power that puts you through things because you are going to help someone in the future in some way, being an advocate or giving advice to them, whether it's one time you give advice to someone in the grocery store or something. More with my situation, not you guys.
You'd be surprised.
Right. Yeah, if you're open to talking about it. But any advice I can give someone, if I keep telling myself when I feel those down days, I remind myself it's for a reason. This happened for a reason.
Yeah.
And if I can say anything, it's so true. If you see something, say something.
Mhm.
Don't doubt yourself. If you see it, say it to somebody. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If you're wrong, you're wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
we have such strong intuitions sometimes, and we really ignore them because we doubt ourselves.
Yeah, my husband is really good at sussing out situations really quickly. And there have been multiple occasions where he has stopped a crime before it happened. Like, or
does he get
stopped
like a premonition or just like a gut feeling?
a gut feeling. He knows. Okay, so my husband lived kind of a criminal past, and so he understands the life, and I mean, he wasn't doing anything to hurt anybody or anything like that. Well, I mean, that's subjective, okay? But anyway, so we can just be driving down the road on our way to church. We were doing it one day, and this guy was walking in the median with a baby. He had a baby bag, and he had the baby.
That gives me so much anxiety.
Everything looked normal, except for the fact that he was walking in the middle.
I'll just say, wait a minute.
Yeah. Well, he was in the median where there was grass, so it wasn't like
I don't care. The fact that you're not at a crosswalk drives me nuts. I see people stroll kids down the street without a sidewalk, and I want to go crazy.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. So,
but yes, continue.
But most people would have just driven by and not given it a second thought. My husband, no, he immediately turned around and started following him.
Wow,
the guy realized my husband was following him and started acting shady, got out of the middle of the road, went over into the woods, hid for a little while. We went and hid for a little while. And then came back around.
Became an undercover investigation, girl.
Yeah, and so then finally he was just like, okay, this is enough. We got to call the police. So we called the police. We sat back at on a side street and just watched him for the police to make sure he wasn't going anywhere or where he was going. And come to find out, this guy had kidnapped this baby. Yeah. Kidnapped this baby and had Molly in the formula or the bottle or something like that. Yeah. And
my jaw is like on the ground right now.
It made international news. And so, yeah, I mean, it was just him seeing this one thing.
Exactly.
And so that's happened before. Yeah. And just recently he saved 3 girls. We thought they were younger than what they were, but they were still in danger. And we ended up following the guy who was following them. We were just driving down the road And my husband saw something, and he's like, "That doesn't look good." And so we just started following, and we called the police, and by the time the police pulled up to that guy and we turned around, they had already picked him up. So
Wow.
and that's not normal, because usually they'll sit out there for a while talking to people, and so he must
Yeah.
have been somebody that they already knew or something. So
Just imagine if somebody in that armory had said or told a cop or
yeah.
told somebody in the place of authority, Child Protective Services, somebody to
Mhm.
say, "Hey, man, these little girls are here. We want to make sure mom knows where they are," which she obviously
Yeah.
didn't. You know what I'm saying,
Mhm.
kind of thing. Same thing here. They probably could have. I'm not gonna say that. It's not fair, but
My
maybe.
gut, is he probably, for all we know, made Whitney out to look like the bad person, right? Like, oh, my ex-wife is trying to keep me from the kids, or she
But
cheated
she
on me. I mean,
didn't.
God
But it didn't
knows what
even
he told people.
seem like that, when he was
Uh-uh.
in court. He was very calm, very
Right.
reasonable, rational.
And she gave
Um
him
What
way
is
beyond the
what,
benefit of doubt that I would have.
mhm.
what is bothering me is that we're not seeing a lot of people speak out,
I want to. I
about
want to hear
him
from
and his
Whitney.
character.
Yeah, like I'd love to
So
hear from
that's
her.
why, Amber, I was interested to hear about what, maybe people in some of the chats are saying that you belong to. Like, hey, I served with him. He was kind of weird. Or,
Oh
they
yeah.
always say the same thing, though. He was a nice guy. He was really quiet. It's always like the sound bite that you hear with every
Yeah.
news story.
So when I showed his picture in the chat, they actually at first thought that they had served with him, because I guess he had the same kind. See, he looks Japanese right there.
He
Oh, he
looks like a
does.
million different things. I
He
mean,
looks
it's
straight up Japanese there.
He really
I'm,
does.
I'm gonna I'm just gonna start calling him the chameleon. Like, that's gonna be his nickname.
And you know what? That's not unreasonable. And Amber, I know you know that. They know how to make themselves look different, how to present themselves, how to even talk differently. It's
Like,
like,
here he looks like a country singer to me.
Yeah,
And, like, you
totally,
know what I mean? Like,
totally.
he
Yeah, this is actually kind of scary. So
it is, and this isn't even all the pictures.
that
I
one, he
actually,
looks like he's using meth. And I'm saying
yeah,
that because I know what meth
yeah.
teeth
yeah,
look like. Yeah. So,
And
so
he's unkept, unwell. Yeah.
I'll,
mhm.
yeah, I'll just tell you like one story I know about somebody who was embedded with the enemy. So I know somebody who um actually became an Afghani.
Mhm.
Wow.
He spoke the language, the dialect, the accents,
Mhm.
looked the part, everything, and lived in the village.
Mhm.
I don't know how he pulled it off, but he was able to do it, and he did it for a long time.
Wow.
So it is very possible to completely immerse yourself in a culture and in a situation and not be detected.
Yep. And
Yeah.
that one, I'm gonna be real honest with you, is a very hard one to embed yourself in because the same you can say that, like if I said hi to a man, it is said one way. If I say hi to a woman, it's said a completely different way. My son went to DLI. He knows 3 different dialects of Arabic. So
Mhm.
that's only and their language sounds like a bunch of sounds put together. It's real
Yeah.
different from ours. Yeah. And
Mhm.
so it's the inflection that you have to
Mhm.
get right. But yeah, they were taught how to grow their beards out and make them look scruffy, and they were taught all that stuff. So,
Yeah, they were.
mhm. It's
Brainwashed into it. Yeah.
either that or they'll save their lives, one of the 2.
It'll save their lives.
Right, I was gonna say it'll save their lives. So
Yeah. But I still to this day don't know how this guy lived in this small village in
why was he
Afghanistan.
doing it?
What I don't know.
Oh,
It was an op. It was a military op of some kind.
huh.
What it entailed or whatever, I don't know.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's crazy, isn't it?
Wow.
Mhm.
They have different taboos and the way
Everything.
they eat their food and like all that stuff. It's very
Well, yeah,
interesting.
you even have to treat people differently, like
Absolutely.
culturally, like just kind of go along and, they say do as the Romans do type of thing.
Yeah,
It's,
but this is a male female thing. And like you can
yeah,
literally get in big, big trouble if you say something to a female and her husband's right there and you haven't said it the right way. That's like it's a crime.
Yeah.
right. Yeah, it is a crime.
Yeah.
And you're going to be
Definitely.
punished for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. So,
Yes,
you know,
it is.
that's just going back to say this guy could be a chameleon. He could be speaking another language right now. He could have a totally different look. You know what I'm saying? He could be, he definitely knows what he's doing. I mean, there's no way around that. And for 2 weeks, he's eluded God and everybody. So,
I keep like when I keep looking back at this, I'm like, how are we this far along? And
I don't know.
I'm not trying to bash the sheriff's office, but I do know there is another sheriff's office now that is involved because they think he is getting closer to Canada, which also could be BS to throw us off the trail, to throw Travis off his game. But I'm getting to the point where, all right, who do we need to bring in to find this guy? I'm just doing a sweep real quick.
I know, Amber, you'd be the one to answer that question because I have no clue at this point.
I would say somebody of his equal skill.
Yeah.
So probably the Rangers or somebody like that.
Well, I also think shutting down the damn park would be a good start.
I do too, man.
It
I'm so
would
afraid
definitely
somebody's
be a
going to
good
get
start.
hurt. I'm so
Yeah.
afraid somebody else is going to get hurt.
If he's in the wilderness, the Rangers or somebody like that would be a good option. Yeah, no, not Dog the Bounty Hunter.
I
for
know. I
sure.
just looked over and saw that too. I was like, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
No,
Hey, I mean, I think at this point we'll take anyone, right, guys?
right?
I mean,
Well,
you know what's? I think there's just civilians now going out there, and you know what I hope is going on is I do hope that there is deputies dressed as hikers in civilian clothes.
Of course there are.
Spoken, you know.
I would imagine so.
Hey, you guys,
I'm not playing on my phone, guys. I'm trying to see if there's any updates before we wrap this up.
I wanted to acknowledge somebody in the comments because I was looking at Limited 360. I hear you, girl, about the.
This is actually my friend. I've known him for.
Oh, him. Sorry.
I want to say 25 years now. It might be longer than that.
The first thing he said was either you trust the state to take the life regardless of the crime or you don't. And I kind of agree with that.
Yeah.
I would be trusting the state. But the other thing that I noticed that was SA gives you a chance to move forward and find a path to heal. If you're lucky, that is correct.
Yeah.
There are cases where you never fully heal. You just learn how to live with it.
Yeah.
So
actually, it's interesting that he's in here, and I will say this: I was not in an essay situation, but I was in a relationship that James knows of this person, and he was violent towards me. I was able to get out of that relationship actually thanks to James going to my apartment, which he had moved some stuff in, and James came to my rescue and pretty much was like, I'm packing up all his shit and we're dumping it off. And we're telling him never to talk to you again. I still have nightmares to this day of those situations. I would not say they're as bad as other people's experiences.
Right.
But I can only imagine how terrible it is to wake up from those dreams and feel like you're still trapped in a situation that happened so long ago.
Yeah.
I actually just recorded an episode today with Lori Lowenberg, the dream analysis expert.
Oh my God, I need to go there.
And she had me crying because she told me something about my dream that I had never even considered. And I have been through therapy with the VA. Yeah, I've been through therapy with the VA for 26 years, off and on. And she helped me in just the hour and a half that I spoke to her, maybe an hour and 45 minutes that I spoke to her today than I've ever been helped before. So I'm going to really look at what she told me about it and maybe even set up an appointment to actually go through the whole thing with her because
Mhm.
Was
Girl, it
this
took me
alive?
3 years to get through my story. I get it, Amber. I mean,
Yeah.
and I don't ever wanna have to do that again because I had the same therapist and literally went through all 3 years,
Oh,
you know? And now I don't ever wanna have to tell that all over again, you know what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yep.
So, but I just wanna finish
Yeah.
with Limited 360 just 'cause I want him to know that I was the other party says his murder gives you no options, not sure how you can advocate for capital punishment in one hand and not in the other. I get it.
Mhm.
That makes sense to me. I just want
Yeah.
you to know that I heard you and saw you because a lot of times comments like that
Yeah.
can be like,
By the way, he is like one of the most
that's too
sarcastic people I
controversial.
know.
Yeah.
So.
But what I don't think that was sarcastic at all though. I really think that was well said.
Mhm.
Obviously you needed to say it and it was very well said. I just wanted to say that I did recognize it and see it over there. So because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm a little snarky in my comments. Jen knows sometimes.
Yeah.
I'm like so.
No, he can be too. Yeah, you guys, I just wanted to do a sweep and see if the sheriff's office did any update, and I'm not seeing anything, and
Is it
it's
that
kind of
first
a
one right
bummer.
there, Amber? I'm sorry. Dreams, narcissist.
Yeah, that
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
It'll be
so I
coming.
wanted, I unfortunately don't have like anything else to show. I don't know if you guys have anything to add, but before we ended, I wanted to pull up both of your pages so that and James said he appreciates that, Amber.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pin okay, so this is Amber's page, you guys. It's called Into the Weed podcast. We just kind of started collaborating together, and I'm really excited, you guys, this summer to do this this tea time, like spill the tea. So
Oh
we
yeah, me
can
too.
really
Yeah.
have a little more fun and not be so serious and have some fun with these cases. So
Yeah.
but Amber does some really amazing things. Like I said, we just did a podcast with her and Para Women Radio. Please go follow Amy as well. And Amber explains a lot of what she does. She works with a program that helps veterans get podcasts started and pretty much goes from A to B, teaching them things. I mean, like, you got to think some people are not tech savvy. So she's offering and volunteering her time to do that. So please go check her out. And then I'm going to pull up your.
Oh my God. You don't have to pull mine up, Jen. I will tell you something about mine. I have like 3 followers, but what I do have on mine that's very cool is the playlists that I've created are
it's
fantastic.
going to have to grow because we are going to be doing the tea time. And here's one thing, you guys, and I want to say this to like anyone new watching. I let other creators stream. I don't even know. Are you streaming this right now, Amber?
No, because I wasn't sure.
Okay, I wish I said something earlier. Okay, so in the top right corner, since this is recording, and if anyone hears it on the replay, it should say stream to my channel. I let everyone stream. I don't care about the views. This is more about us having fun and having a conversation, and we all have different viewers. And my favorite part is we all come together and
so I need to push this from now on at the beginning. I need to push it.
Yep, you hit go live in the beginning. So then it automatically records the video and goes into your playlist. So I'm going to give Amy credit for a lot of this. She's taught me StreamYard before. I was on some other one that was really junky, but so here is Carrie. I hope it's okay. I use your name. I meant to ask you that today. Some people do like to remain anonymous on YouTube. But so here's her page.
Oh, I have 4. Look, I have 4 subscribers.
Yeah. So please go subscribe. We're definitely going to be doing more lives together. And the cool thing is when we do that, we can we can pre-plan them and advertise them so that people know we're going out live.
And I will tell you this, you guys, one little thing about my little tiny channel is if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, I have a lot of mental health stuff that I've kind of put together. And like ways to deal with like
playlist.
Yeah, it's in a playlist.
Okay,
it's on there somewhere. But
Perfect.
anyway, because one thing that's really important to me, you can see I have the chocolate racetrack Do you see that right
Fair
there?
Beat and Light. Yes.
And that chocolate. That was for my grandson because I was like, he made a whole racetrack out of chocolate. But anyway, so I do have a lot of mental health stuff and like a lot of how to talk to a narcissist and a lot of how to talk to a person with bipolar and things like that because I have all that in my life. So that is some good information I have on there.
Mm-hmm.
I love this. This is great.
Yeah.
So you guys, please go subscribe, check out, and not just that, when you are over there, hit the like button, make a comment. It helps things go out in the algorithm. It's really cool to see old videos. I just had a video like the other day that was so old, and all these people started commenting on it out of nowhere. And I'm like, why the hell all of a sudden? But I get it. The algorithm scoops things up.
What was it?
It was one I did about Nicole Kessinger, and I was just so embarrassed because my hair was like messed up then, but it is what it is. But
I love the cow one.
Oh, thank you. So yeah, you guys, please go subscribe to them. And then the last thing I'm gonna pull up is the GoFundMe page again for Whitney. Let's help Whitney be a voice to make change with the Amber Alert system, and missingkids.org is kind of a part of that. So if you feel like you want to also don't feel like you need to make donations to Whitney, that's fine. Missingkids.org is another option too. That money is going to go where it needs to go. And always please directly donate to these organizations. I am not the one collecting the money. I actually had someone accuse me of collecting money for the Lupus Foundation the other day. And I was like, no, that's not what I said. I said, go directly to the website. So
do you know the sign for domestic violence, Jen? Hold five fingers up. Hold all five up. Okay.
And
put
then
your
go
thumb
like
in. Yep, that's it. And then open it back up.
Okay.
Yep.
We need to do a live on that because I want to do a whole show on kidnapping. I'm actually waiting for Elizabeth Smart to get back to me with her schedule because she's done a lot and obviously she survived being kidnapped. So I'm waiting on that.
That's really exciting stuff for me, y'all. I know. Yeah, it's so exciting and so important to me.
I just learned that a week ago. So I'm glad you brought it up.
I'm proud of you. And Limited 360, I wanted to chat with you. I dig what he said. The one thing he said, I'm going to say, wait, what was it? I couldn't fake it and be a chameleon without toilet paper. I love it.
Oh, yeah. He's like the funniest person I know. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. And hopefully we can all get together soon. I feel like, I don't want to just cover the story to cover it, for views or anything. I want some new information. The newest thing I had today was the court audio. So I'd love to have you guys back when we get some more. I'm gonna be really mad if he gets away.
I know. I check it like every 20 or 30 minutes. I don't know if you're like that, but it's like a constant check.
Of course I am.
Oh, girl, and why in the hell did you tell me about Reddit? You didn't know about Reddit.
I was like, why did I tell her at midnight? She's not gonna sleep.
Oh my god!
I want to do a whole episode on just Reddit chat too because I found a hilarious Reddit. Actually, it's not that funny. Kind of. I'll give you a brief synopsis before we end this.
I know. I'm sorry. I had to say that to you.
It was a boyfriend who had a diarrhea problem, and he was muddling through his girlfriend's closet to find old towels to clean up his mess.
Oh, no, God.
In the closet, he found a box. Inside the box were letters from guess who?
Ted Bundy.
Chris Watts.
No.
So yeah, I'll send you guys the link to this. And so he went on Reddit asking for advice because he was getting ready to propose to this girl. And he says the letters are old. He said the letters are before they started dating, but he is bothered by the fact that she is writing him. Mm-hmm. And what does that mean about her as a person?
Were they romantic letters?
Yes, they were romantic letters.
Ooh.
Can you read any of them on there?
Yeah, right.
Like,
He needs to sell them.
He didn't put them out there, which I was kind of surprised, but I mean, I get it. But James says, run. That's what I said. I mean, I reached out to the guy and I was like, can I interview you? Because I want to know what happened.
Right.
This post was about 8 months ago. And Amy and I talked about it on one of the lives, but I'm like, I want to know what happened.
Look, and you know those were meant to be found with the way it happened. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And apparently, he was asking Reddit for advice. Do I say something? He was asking, what does this mean about her? Because that's actually a disease.
I vote yes, say something.
Into serial killers.
Yeah.
So I'll probably do that tonight. I'm going to go back down the rabbit hole and see if
oh my God, I can't wait.
But yes, Reddit is the bomb.
Oh my God.
Reddit.
It
is a rabbit hole.
And there's like anything on there.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
anyway,
you can search normal stuff, but then you can go down like
the rabbit hole.
Yes, of like
whatever.
Someone did a post one day where they're like, I fell in a fire, but then 5 minutes later I wasn't in the fire and no one remembers me. Like just really off the wall cool stuff.
That was a bad trip. That's what that was.
I agree, Amy. I agree.
The best place if you want to remain anonymous and get advice from people is Reddit.
Oh, no kidding. Like I saw a join button. I'm like, oh hell no, I'm not joining nothing.
I actually got kicked off Reddit because I'll tell you why. There's a group called Watts Free for All, and it's I'm gonna warn you, it's very it's the Watts case, and it is very raw, very cutthroat. And I wrote just a simple comment. I said, y'all are savage. And they banned me. I'm like, come on.
You're out, girl.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying, y'all are really savage. Like,
you could have been like in a cool way. I mean, I know you didn't, but you could have been like, y'all are savage, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, in a good way. Yeah.
So I had to create a new account, but I was kind of bummed that
I went looking for information on the Duggars because I knew the grandma, Mary Duggar. She was my Sunday school teacher. And so I found the Duggar Snark page and I started going on it and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh God, now I'm writing really down.
Yeah, I mean, you can find.
I accidentally fell into some stuff I didn't mean to.
Yeah, I mean, you can join, and they call them like subreddits. There's a whole like lingo to it, but I mean, I'm telling you guys, if there's anything you want to know or explore, I would highly suggest going on Reddit for it.
Oh,
it's very
it's
informative. Yeah.
But be prepared to be told off if you say something stupid.
Yeah, that's what I've heard from you and Jen now. So I love Reddit.
Yeah, and it's more of those things. It's an anonymous thing. I rarely know people who go on there and they're like put their profile picture up. You know, it's more of like you're being incognito and you're getting advice from people or giving your opinion that may not be popular, right? So that's kind of what it is. But yeah, I want to do like a whole Reddit segment where we just go find crazy posts and talk about them.
That'll be fun. I'm all for that. Y'all, I've had so much fun. I really have. I mean, I know it's a very serious subject. I'm not making light of it. I'm not. But sometimes you just have to laugh. And if I don't know, I just want to say one thing. Whitney, if you hear this somehow, you are on my mind and my heart, and all my thoughts are with you right now. So,
yes, and I will try to bring more exposure to it with MBR, trying to get some of the hosts to cover it and talk about it.
Yeah, and you're welcome. You're welcome to download this whole episode and post it on your own page as well. I don't care. I don't mind if you guys want to do that. Since you didn't hit the
I do that
screen.
too.
I should have said something ahead of time, but yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
But yeah, Amber, I do appreciate you doing that because maybe there is someone that has served with him and they know him
That would
can get
enlighten us.
hit. Yeah, I mean,
I would really love to have somebody call in to one of the shows and just tell us if they knew him, what he was like,
Yeah.
and get a little bit
Yeah.
more information. Is this guy a super soldier,
Right.
or is he just somebody who went through the motions, passed all the requirements, but was kind of lackadaisical or whatever?
Yeah.
Mhm. Which
From
way are
what
you leaning,
Will,
Amber? Which way
Huh?
are you leaning?
I'm leaning towards the fact that he's trained, really well trained, and probably was a good soldier. At the very
Good
least,
soldier.
a competent soldier. He
Yeah.
wasn't killed in he wasn't killed in combat,
Right.
and not saying that you're incompetent if you get killed. I'm
Right.
just saying,
Right.
not
Right.
by any means,
It's
not by any means. I'm just saying, he survived, and survivors survive.
Yeah. 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 That
So
makes sense.
I want to also say we had Will with 411 Now join us the other day. His family actually had to evacuate. They were camping near the area that Decker was, and
oh wow.
they booted the family out. Will has a great channel. He does a lot of fun things. So
He
if you
is
guys
very
don't,
funny.
yeah, please go share some love to Will. But Will has he's a stringer. So what that means in journalism is like he will do like freelance. He'll go out and shoot videos. He might do research. And he said that Decker did serve in Iraq and Afghanistan. So
Afghanistan, I knew about. Yeah.
but we know this is some person who's seen some action,
Mhm.
not been placed somewhere where they're not,
Mm-hmm.
seeing real things going on. So it's
I'll
good
just
to know that.
I'll just read this one little blurb that I have about combat and survival skills.
Yeah.
Small unit tactics, stealth movement, night navigation,
Wow.
shelter construction, water sourcing and field sustenance, ambush evasion and camouflage. Repeatedly lived off the grid for over 2 months in the wilderness before the crime, and he's familiar with radio silence, gear caching, and terrain exploration. So,
Wow.
Why
and
are we not
exploitation.
seeing a formal military photo out yet? Do you think, Amber?
I know.
I was
Those are
wondering
usually like a
about
dime a
that.
dozen. I mean,
Right? I mean, that's usually the media usually goes to a
Mhm.
driver's license photo
Immediately. Yeah.
and then a military photo because
Mhm.
it's public.
Mhm.
It's public
Mhm.
record.
Yeah, so I heard that he was photographed with tabs from some school. I can't remember what it was, but he didn't actually finish the school.
Mhm.
But I haven't seen those pictures.
Hmm.
Well,
And
that's something you could post on the forum. That would be interesting if we could get a look at it, because then it starts to make you doubt, did he really serve? Like, why are we not seeing the photos? But I don't think he would go before the judge either and lie about that in
no,
that
I mean
hearing.
he was in the armory, so he served, so
Right. Right. Yeah.
it's just a matter of how well he served and what he
Yeah.
learned and what
Yeah.
he took to heart. But it sounds like he took a lot to heart because he lived out there for 2 months, and he
That might have been
also
practice. Never know.
exactly, it could have been, or it could have been practice just in case something happened.
Mhm. Mhm.
And probably not ever even thinking that that would be the
Right.
scenario that
Right.
forced him to live off the grid.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any.
There's not a whole lot, you guys. I have been digging all day, every
I
day.
mean, I see him in a camo shirt, but I mean, anyone could
But I'm just
throw
talking
a
about
camo shirt
updated
on.
news. There's just not even a lot
Yeah.
of updated news. There's not.
Well, and I was looking through old videos from Afghanistan during that time just to
Uh-huh.
see if I could spot him,
Uh-huh.
because I put in his unit and everything, trying to figure out, if maybe there was some footage, but
Right.
I didn't spend enough time on it yet. But I'm in the process
That's a
of it.
really, really good idea, Amber.
Why don't you spend a
Now that I
lot
think-
of time on that, okay?
I did that for a story. We were just trying to find one clip of a guy. we were doing a story on, and I mean, we were going through like 8 hours of footage of just like what you would call B-roll of tactical training and things like that, just because we needed one shot of this guy.
Yeah,
But
so
I
like
didn't even think about that. He could be on, you know, some type of video out there.
So like my husband, for instance, and even myself, so I've got my basic training yearbook up there.
Aw.
So there's video of us during training, you know, going through the gas chamber, you know, what we look like
I
when
have
we
it on my
came
son.
out.
Yeah.
You know, so it would be interesting to find out where he went to basic training at, which I think was Fort Benning, but I'm not sure. And then trying to find the video archives from that graduating class.
Yeah, we actually bought the CDs of like his training. My son, he was at Parris Island.
Yeah.
In the Marine Corps. And so, like, you know, we actually found videos of the only thing we didn't have video, put it this way, was the Crucible. Like, no video of that because, you know.
Yeah, my
So,
husband was actually videoed quite a bit because, well, he was kind of like a super soldier.
Yeah.
You know, they honed in on him real quick and started taking promotional video of him in basic training and AIT and stuff like that. So God knows where that footage is, but I would be really interested to see that one day.
Well, if you think he was at Fort Benning, I think what I'll do tomorrow morning is I'll reach out to the public relations person and just ask them for a comment, whether they say, no, he was not here. You know, at least we kind of are getting some type of statement. And if he was there, they're going to say, yes, he's no longer with us, but he served A to B, you know, like.
And then you can find.
Did you see what Limited 260 or 360 just said? In 2014 and later, joined the Washington National Guard. He was not a Ranger.
Yeah, but he went to Ranger school and he was photographed with Ranger tabs.
Okay.
Which is interesting because if he was photographed with Ranger tabs, then that means that he put on his insignia when he wasn't supposed to. So he was like a poser, maybe.
Wouldn't this be freaking crazy though if we do find out that he has faked some of this stuff too, which they do. I mean,
yeah, they do. They most definitely do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say they would have an archive of the basic training yearbook if they do anything like Fort Jackson does, which I assume they would. And then they would have archival video of his actual platoon and everything going through basic training.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, that's what I'll do tomorrow, you guys. I'll reach out to the public affairs office and just say,
Perfect.
hey, can we have photos? Can you give us a statement? Anything.
So Jennifer, do you have to have like some special, like, because you're a journalist to get into that stuff? Okay, when are you going to do that video? When?
Oh, on that?
The teaching one.
The which one?
The teaching one, teaching the members how to go.
Oh, I mean, I can throw something together like this weekend just to send you guys. I think kind of Amber knows too. You usually just go to like, she's done a ton of podcasts with guests already. Everything has a media
liaison.
Someone who handles booking interviews and things like that. Like, I'm trying to think of a way to, so you're in Pensacola. If you want police reports, you go to the Pensacola's sheriff's office and you reach out to the media public relations. They call them usually PIOs, public information officer. And you just say, I want this report involving Joe Smith. Because you pay tax dollars, you're entitled to it. So it's not even
in Florida.
Yeah, it's not even about being a journalist. I think the thing about being a journalist is knowing how to maneuver and how to find the information you need. It's like being a sleuth. I'm not going to lie to you. It's
I think it's incredible. Yeah.
I've gotten a lot of interviews just by who I knew and finding people that knew information and got me in there, being slick. It's not because I had a pass that says Jennifer, media journalist, you know? And I think but I really think that's what people think.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
it-
I'm honest. I did.
is that, yeah, sometimes you have a badge that says where you work, but it's really only to get you in the gate at work because it's secure. But Amber was talking about the other day, she is applying for credentials so that she can cover White House coverage.
Ooh.
But yes, that's kind of different. That's so that they already did a background check on Amber, so that when she shows up to cover a story, if she chooses to, she's cleared. They know who she is. They know she doesn't have, you know, a background, a criminal background or whatever. But yeah, typically there's no like credential or pass that you need.
I'm already now. I'm like I wrote PIO down, and I'm gonna.
I'll send you like a guide, and I think that's what I was gonna do because I was like, I have membership now, and I'm like, what can I do for my members? And that's what I need to do.
I would love that. Yeah,
I need to do a video on like how to request information and do that kind of thing. So I will definitely do that.
Ken Maines, Ken Maines from Unsolved No More. He just wrote a book about learning how to be a cold case detective. And he's worked with Dr. Henry Lee.
I love him.
All the top forensic scientists, he's worked with them.
Okay.
Wow.
And he was on the show Hunt for the Zodiac. Yeah, so he's doing another TV show on something. I'm not really sure what it's about right now, but he released this large volume of teaching people how to be cold case detectives. So I bought it. So I'm waiting for it to get here. I actually bought it a while back and sent it to the wrong address, so I had to reorder it.
Oh
No,
I've done that.
I've done that with Target a couple times. So
yeah. All right, y'all. I've had a great time.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you, Amber. It was nice to meet you.
Yes, you as well.
I'll reach out to you ladies through text if I get anything back.
I'll do the same.
With his background, and we'll figure out another time to join together and talk again here soon.
Okay.
Yes,
Sounds
thank
great.
you very much.
All right, bye everybody.
Bye,
Thank you so much. Please don't forget to hit the thumbs up, like, and subscribe. If you're watching on the replay crew, we appreciate you. Also, please go ahead and follow my co-hosts tonight, Into the Weeds podcast and YouTube at Cuff-U. She's going to be having more content soon, but Amber does have already a lot of content up there. I really appreciate all of you stopping by. I know there are a lot of creators to watch on a Friday, so I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next time.